Yeah, today a little theory about the sea people. Um, there's not too much known about the sea people. The sea people were a couple of tribes of people, maybe some fractions of kingdoms or some form of nations of people. Some of them had maybe real kingdoms, maybe some of them had different types of governance, but it were, according to the records, according to most of the Egyptian records, it were 12 tribes of people that at the end of the Bronze Age, meaning at the Bronze Age collapse really, those people invaded a lot of places in the Eastern Mediterranean. So they formed, according to the records, it seems that they formed a couple of alliances sometimes, and sometimes they attacked independently. But mostly those people were seafaring people, so they came from the sea and they invaded the rich cities of various kingdoms and empires really. So I want to focus here in this on my theory, which is really just a theory. It's nothing proven or something like that. But again, this is why I like it. I can put it out and then people can, give their opinion. But I just wanted to give it out because I think I had this in my head for like over 10 years. So yeah. And that came from a question which I later, or pretty soon, will mention here in the video. So yeah, there were different types of attacks, right? It's not like one tribe attacked or all the tribes attacked the exact same spot. It's not like that. Some tribes attacked Egypt. The others attacked maybe the Hittites, right? In Anatolia, some attacked in the Greek part of Anatolia or the Greek mainland or some islands, and attacked some Canaanite cities, etc. Right? So it was a little bit chaotic, based on the information we have. We don't have too much information, that's why it's a little bit of a mystery here. But one theory I could derive from it, and it's the only theory that's really interesting to me so far. The others, they might be extremely interesting, they didn't just pop up in my head, because it was not that interesting. And as you can see here from the map, right, of course this is all theory from which direction they attacked, but some of it is based on the actual texts which were compiled by some Egyptians, Greeks and other sources, maybe some Babylonian sources. I can't really remember, but as you can see, I want to focus on the sea attacks on Greece. So Egypt is really, for this theory, is really rather irrelevant. The Canaanites is irrelevant. The Anatolia is irrelevant for me. I just want to focus on the attacks on the Greek islands here, right? So seems to me, right, that the sources say, or it is pretty much established that Mycenaeans, right, or Mycenaeans, which was a mighty city, I think it was a mighty kingdom. But this type of city, or you could almost say it was like a micro civilization for itself. But this city was attacked by the sea people from the west, coming somewhere from the west, and other cities were also attacked from the directions of the west. Other islands of Greece, right? I think this is Creta, there where Knossos is. Not too sure. Could be Creta, yeah. And so a lot of those cities were absolutely pillaged and destroyed by the sea people, right? By some of their tribes, and the Egypt. And now that's the focus on my. That's my point. That's my theory. So, who were the people, the particular tribes that attacked the Greek islands, leaving out all the other attacks on the other islands? Who were the people who attacked the Greek islands? And from my understanding, my theory is, right? My theory is that since they came from the west, right? It's really assumable that they came somewhere from the western Mediterranean. Anything west from Egypt, really. And the pharaoh, I think, Ramesses, I think one of the inscriptions in the Egyptian artifacts says that the Weshwesh tribe, right, was a tribe from Libya. And it made sense to me because when I looked at the names that were recorded from the sea people, when we look at here, I don't know if there's all of them. I think it was like 12 or 13 tribes that were recorded. Could be more or less in reality, but those were the recorded ones. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So here we have 9 names. But I noticed I noticed something here, and maybe Luca doesn't sound from the place where I assume some other tribes came from. So Karkia, Luca doesn't sound like a Palisade. Maybe Shekelesh. I have no idea. This sounds very suspicious. But the Weshwesh, I think, were the people that were adjacent to Libya, according to the Egyptian texts. And the Ekwesh also sounds, Weshwesh and Ekwesh sounds, maybe also Cheka, sounds very, very, it sounds Berber. It sounds completely Berber. And Egypt was, as we know, officially attacked by the Berbers from Libya and ruled for many years there. And even some pharaohs tracked their ancestry back to the Berbers. But I think the Weshwesh were the ones who came from the west, according to the Egyptians. And Ekwesh also seems very Berber. It sounds very Berber. And I think there is a known Libyan tribe that is actually called Weshwesh. So if there's an actual tribe that is called Weshwesh in antiquity, that lived in Libya and was of Berber origin, according to, I think, Roman or Greek historians, then of course those were the people. That's the assumption, right? And this is something that I found very strange with people, that if you find a civilization in a place, you should think, right? Let's say you find a civilization according to historical records in a place, and that place is now a new nation or something like that. You should usually come from the assumption that that modern nation right now, that modern place, those are the descendants of the people who live there. This is the status quo assumption. Now, of course, it could be wrong, right? It could be, but this should be the status quo. And it seems like, I don't know, like in fantasy world or something like that, people don't assume it, which is pretty strange. And then I look at, for example, Roman coins and stuff like that, and the people on the Roman coins, they look exactly like modern Italians. Like, is that a coincidence? And then I look at the coins and the statues of like Egyptians, and they look like Coptic Egyptians. And then I look at the statues of the Greeks, and I look at Alexander and stuff like that, and they look like Greeks and Northern Greeks, or I want to go into the Macedonian stuff and stuff because I'm really not that educated on it. But like Greek coins look like Greeks and stuff like that, right? So I don't know where the fantasy, like, is some kind of fantasy that people always assume that when you have a population in some place, that a modern place is not, we don't assume it's those are the people who, you know, those are the same people that lived there before. We don't assume it. We just don't know. We come from Fantasyland, and then they make all of this complicated theories. No, you first assume that the people come from the place, you know, come from the people that lived there before, and then if there's contrary evidence and contrary proof, you go by that. That's my opinion. To me, it's just this is how I like it seems, like straightforward, right? So yeah, so the wich, probably a Libyan tribe, in fact was a Libyan Berber tribe. The Akwash and the Cheka, I think, could be Berber tribes who came from the west. And the whole reason why I came to that question, right, I questioned this, is because I first saw this map here. You know, once I wanted to know a little bit more about the ancestry and stuff like that of my place, of like my tribe and everything, you know, just to know, not to really indulge in it or be like fanatical about it or stuff like that, which, you know, which is, I think, is absolutely wrong and stupid even. But, you know, to know a little bit about your place is always something worthy of knowing. That's why the Israelite and the prophets and stuff like that, they trace their ancestry, right? Are they now like fanatical or something like that? Because they traced that down, or the prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, because he knew his fatherly lineage? No, it's just something natural, right? It's nothing like that occupies your mind. It never crosses my mind. Maybe like once in 2 years or something like that would cross my mind. Doesn't really matter that much, right? So yeah, but it also ties in, which is really important in my opinion, more so than into the whole Adam and Eve story and the flood story of Noah, and the ancestry is like that, and proves God and gives evidence to God, and that thus glorifies God, really. Because everything in the world glorifies God, really, and this is just a part of it. But that's besides the point. So I looked at a map of haplogroup E, because this is what I am part of, right? And this is what like 85% of Africa is part of. It's a specific fatherly ancestry line, right? So that says that 85% of Africa descends from the haplogroup E, meaning their father is this person here, who can be traced back to this marker here, E, which, you know, people who believe in the Bible would say is Ham, the son of Noah. And my conclusion then is, I mean, my question is then, because I saw this map, for example, and I saw Greece having a lot of haplogroup E, and also Albania and stuff like that, right? And this really raised my question. Some people there, they just look so relatable. Like, they just look so, I mean, relatable in the sense they look so familiar, right? And then I looked at this map and I made up the connections, and I saw they have a very high percentage. Of course, it's not like 50% or something of their country, but it's still considerable compared to the rest of Europe. You could say maybe in Spain it was because of the rule of the Moors. Italy had a lot of contact with North Africa, so there was probably a lot of migration in antiquity. People wanted to live in big Roman cities because to get a better life or something like that. But Greece, really, there's not too much like civil migration known in history, right? And where the hell do those haplogroup E, those Hamite Africans, come from in Greece? And my opinion is, or my theory about all of this, right, is that some Berber tribes from Libya and maybe from Tunisia, maybe up to, I don't know, I wouldn't say up to Algeria, because it seems extremely far, and why it just seems questionable, but of course it's a possibility. But my theory so far is that people from Libya, they went up, okay, so Berber tribes from Libya went up along when the Bronze Age collapse happened and the empires got weakened and everything, their defenses got weakened, and they attacked, pillaged, and mass migrated into a lot of Greek islands, the mainland, and then what later became Illyria, right, the place where modern day Albania is. That's my theory. Let me guess what you think. You can disagree. I have to end the video.